I love martinis, extra dry, with just a little whiff of vermouth. Make it Boodle's Gin, or perhaps I love bourbon, neat, with a twist of lemon. Oh, I really love that. I love short, fat blondes. I love cheese sandwiches with pickle relish.
Hi boys and girls, it's me, and we're back in the lair, and obviously at the bench, and we're going to get back to the 600 series low budget Resto that we're working on. We're up to part 7. Basically we're at the point now where we're satisfied everything in the chassis seems to be working okay. Now it's just a matter of doing an alignment, and then once we can get through the alignment, then it's just a matter of cleaning up and polishing the case, and similar to what we did on the H500, but there's the one we did last year, but there's just a few more steps that we'll have to do on this. So we're going to do this the same way as we did the H500, because I think that some of you will be lacking a generator, a signal generator, which really should be used on this, but if you don't have one, that's okay. If you don't have one, what I would recommend is some kind of a digital shortwave receiver if you have one. Okay, so we'll do both steps, and then I'll explain both steps as we go along. So let's get started. Okay, we have our, in this case, a L600 or your 600 series radio. It's up on the bench, and then over here, this is my tried and true Model 324 ICO signal generator, which I've been using for a while, and I like it a lot. And then over here, for those of you who don't have a signal generator, we're going to use, in this case I'm going to use my Sony SW7600 GR radio, which is actually a very good shortwave receiver. And it's also got, it's a dual conversion, and it's got sideband capability, so it's actually a pretty good radio, but we're actually going to use this on the, just for the alignment end. The first thing we're going to need to do is we want to check the 455 kc IFs. Now, if you don't have a signal generator for this, you could probably skip this part. For the most part, these things are pretty solid. They may just need a little bit of a tweaking anyway, but we're going to go ahead and show you how to do this if you did have a generator. So if you don't panic, everything's okay. Just leave it alone, and then we'll just go on to the next part. Okay, first thing we're going to do is to do the IFs. We're going to take the signal generator that you do have, if you have it, and set it to 600 kilocycles. And then what we're going to do is now tune the radio on the broadcast band. Now it may be off and everything else right now, so what I'm going to do is I've just clipped this onto the little wave magnet wire here. I turn the radio on.
Because I'm thinking, we might never get a number 2.
That's about 600 kc right there. Got that tuned in. Okay, so that's step 1. Okay, right now I have the radio on. You can probably hear the tone. Now what you want to do is I've got an alignment tool. I don't know how well you can see that. This is just basically a plastic tool, and it's kind of, the ends are shaped like an Allen key. So what I'm going to do is go into the 2 IFs here. I know that the light isn't great here, so please bear with me. And then what you want to do is peak the 2 coils to the loudest point. So you don't want to have the kids running around and create a bunch of noise and everything while you're doing this. Okay, I think that sounds pretty good right there, so we're just going to leave them right there. Okay, so now it's onto the AM broadcast band. Okay, now on the AM broadcast band, there's literally going to be 4 separate adjustments we're going to make, okay? And let me explain what they are. As you can see here, I've got, here, let me get a hand on while I'm holding the camera. Okay, this is obviously the bread slicer, okay? But if you look on top, you will see there's screws on each one of these. And let me explain what each one is here. This adjustment right here, this screw, is for the oscillator, okay, or pretty much where we're going to indicate the radio, or where we want the pointer to indicate. All right. Next is the detector section, okay, and then over here is the antenna section. Now there's another section which I'd have to turn the chassis around, but it's actually on the bottom, or on the back of the radio, down in this area here somewhere. Okay, and it's called a patter. Okay, so let me explain how we're going to go about this. Now, before we even begin any of those adjustments, let's make sure that the indicator kind of lines up where it should. Okay, you should be at when you bring this all the way to the left, it should be at 0, like where we are here. And you can bring the scale all the way over. I'm still picking up the, okay. And that's, it's not quite 6059. That should be fine. Okay, so you want to make sure that the pointer is going to be at least accurate across the scale. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is we want to bring this guy over. You can hear it still kind of picking up stations and the generator and all that. What we're going to do is, I've got this on the bottom switch here, which is the broadcast band scale here, and I just brought this over to 1600 kilocycles. Okay. Now, since we're going to use a signal generator, we can take the signal generator and set it up to 1600 kcs. Now, for those of you who don't have one, and you're going to have to work with either one of these or whatever, look for a station thereabouts around the 1600 mark. Now, if you don't have a good, accurate 1600 kc station by you, just go back about in 10 kc intervals until you find one. You can even go as far back as even between well, I wouldn't want to go underneath the 1400 kc mark, but try to at least find a section between 140 and 160 and get it to that point, because we're going to determine basically this side of the scale, the accuracy here on the broadcast band. All right. So what we're going to do is I'm going to put the generator on 1600, and then we're going to tune up to this. If you don't have the generator, like I said, find that station, like say it's 1570, get your pointer up around 1570 or so, and then we're going to tune the oscillator trimmer to that. So that's basically the objective of what we're going to do here. Okay, I'd say that's pretty good. Alright, the next step is we're going to go to 1400 kc. I've already set the generator up to 1400. Right. Turn down the signal a little bit. Now what we're going to do is we're going to adjust. Here we're going to adjust the detector. Doesn't seem to be any real change, so I'll leave that where it started. And now the antenna. That seems to be about the loudest peak right there. Okay. Now if you don't have a signal generator, then look for a station between say 1300 and I would say 1500 kcs, and then go ahead and tune the detector and the antenna trimmers. Now you want to look for a station between, I'd say 540 kc and maybe about 700 kc, and see where it's actually ending up on the pointer. Now I live close to New York. I'm about 24 miles from Manhattan, and right now I'm listening to an old sports station, which should be 66 on the AM dial, and it's close but just a little bit off, although This end of the dial now I know is pretty close and accurate, but this is not. So what we got to do is we're going to have to go behind the chassis and adjust the pattern until we get that probably just a little bit more to the left, and then we know that I'll be indicating okay. Now I've got my light here that's creating all kinds of havoc, but I'll get my hand out of the way here. The power control is right here next to the antenna and ground strips. So that's where we're going to be making the pattern adjustment. And by the way, we're just looking for a station. We don't need a generator for this, so we're just looking to tune this for accuracy. Okay, I've got a screwdriver on the pattern control right now, so we're just going to tune that up. We'll tune the radio. Got that. We want that pointer just a little bit left.
To get the Hawaiian traffic, and that's it.
You might be in on him, Rick. You might be in on him anyway, because if you can't lose enough, and if you can't get high up enough to get any of these quarterbacks next year, you might be looking at to a tug of Iowa.
All right, I'd say that's pretty good right there. Now, here's a point where people sometimes overlook. You got to pay attention to this. Once you've made these adjustments, you may have to go now back up here and maybe just find a station between 140 and 160, and you may have to retune the oscillator trimmer right here and readjust that oscillator trimmer, get it back to where you need it to be on this end of the dial, and then go back to the pattern. So you may have to go back and forth a couple times before you get it right where you want to get it. And you're going to have to do that basically with all the bands. Now, once we get through this, you got to do all these shortwave bands the same way. Okay, now we're going to start attacking the shortwave bands. Now, I've basically turned the radio around, and what you see here is just a number of adjustable coils and a few trimmers here. Okay. So we're going to do the 2, the 4, and the 4.8, 4 to 8 megacycle bands first. Now, just as we did the broadcast band, although we did it through the bread slicer here and the pattern on the bottom and the back, we're going to do everything from these adjustments. Now, since the 4 to 8 and the 2.2 to 4 megacycle ranges are a little bit different, they have coils here for both the this would be the oscillator, this would be the detector side, and then over here are the antenna trimmers. But we won't have to touch them. They're usually pretty accurate settings from the factory. All we're going to have to do are these little trimmers here. Like for example, now the first band up from the broadcast band is the 4 to 8. So basically your 4 to 8 oscillator trimmer is, let me see, I'm trying to remember which one it is. Oh yeah, it is 4 to 8 would be this one. Okay, so this is your 4 to 8 oscillator trimmer. Down here, let's see, I didn't bring my glasses, so I'm not really doing myself any favors here. This would be the 4 to 8 antenna trimmer where I got the pointer down low here, and then the detector. Let's see, the detector. This would be the detector. Okay, so it's oscillator, antenna, detector trimmers, and then the 2.4 would be here, up on top here, and then inside here. So again, these would be these are the antenna trimmers, these are the oscillator trimmers, and the detector trimmers for those two bands. Okay, I'm going to go to this is the second switch up. This is the 4 to 8 megacycle band. I'm going to turn the radio on. I already have the generator set for 7800 megacycles, or kilocycles, I'm sorry. Then I'm going to tune over here, and hopefully it's going to end up somewhere around 7,800. I don't have an antenna on the radio, but hopefully the generator will be strong enough to get a signal to it. Alright, there it is. And as you can see, it's a little bit off. Okay. But we want to be right about there where this little notch is on the dial. So we'll have to tune that a little bit. We'll get it to that point. Okay, see if I can tune this in a little bit. Oh, I think I went the wrong way. Way out the wrong way. Oh boy, I'm way off. Okay, now it looks like that part's going to be okay. I just have to do the detector and the antenna coil. If I didn't mention previously, if you don't have a signal generator, just look for a signal, a strong signal between 7.6 and 8 megacycles, or even as low as 7.4, and then do that adjustment that way. And then to do the low band adjustment, or like what we did with the pattern, we want to go down to about 4.2. Turn the radio back on. Now I've already set my generator to 4200. And this one's off just a tick. Alright, now to adjust that, we're going to have to probably adjust that coil, the big coil in the back. Okay, I've already adjusted the coil in the back to get down to 4200 kc, and okay, it's on the oscillator bank, which is this bank right here, and that's where I've got my tool right now. So that's where I made the adjustment. Now again, if you don't have that generator, yeah, just look for a clear station or a strong station between maybe the top here. I mean, there's probably some hams down here with a nice strong signal, or up here, or just something where you know is a strong station, and then you can get the number off of the display of your shortwave radio and know where that is. Okay, here's a upside down picture from the schematic. The coil rack is actually upside down. It's just how they printed it on there and then identified it. So if you want to, you could either freeze the video right now and use that as a reference of where everything is located, or you could, I don't know if there's any way you could just take this thing and print out a picture of that. I used to have a thing called a Snappy. I don't know if anybody remember the Snappy, but Snappy would capture a picture that allow you to print out. So if you had something that, some kind of software that could do that, you can do that. Or you can just simply get a 600 series schematic. So anyway, you have to go, as you see, we did the broadcast band section, then we did the 4 to 8. The 2.4 section is pretty much similar to the 4 to 8, except the trimmers are in a different location. And then as you go up the shortwave bands, you have the The 16 to 19 to 25 and the 31 meter bands are basically just trimmers on those little coils that are on the rack. So just take your time and just go one at a time, and then it'll all work out. And again, if you don't have a generator, just simply find a station that's in that area that's clear, check it against a digital shortwave receiver, and then you'll know where to set everything up at. Okay, I would do the rest of these one at a time, but it'll, I don't want to bore everybody, so it's going to get to be a long video. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. Take care and thanks for watching.